Hello Kindred Spirits, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and today I'm going to be reading for you to look into your next 2 weeks for an energy forecast using the charms, and I'm also going to be looking into those main energies on their way in. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits and anyone new who may be joining us here today. We are going to be looking into those 2 week ahead forecasts and bigger energies at play for you over the next 2 weeks. We're going to be doing that with each of the piles and through the charms and everything. But I also want to let you know that if you haven't already checked out the Grimoire video that I just put up or looking into more of the art magic videos that I've been putting out, then definitely feel free to check those out. And I also have a master guide video all about charm casting that you're welcome to check out as well. As if what brought you to this channel and to this video is the charms, then I think you're really going to benefit and enjoy that. You're also welcome to check out the ways you can support this channel down below. I have snail mail readings, ritual paper, and other handmade goods that really support this space. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and look at these piles. So here for pile number 1, we have this piece of blue tiger's eye with this little ridge at the bottom in brown. So that, if I can turn it all the way around, is pile number 1. Here for pile number 2 is a piece of amethyst. It's quite clear. It has these little rainbows in it. So that is pile number 2. And then last but not least here for pile number 3, we have this piece of raw emerald. So that is pile number 3. So before you start heading off towards the timestamps, I'd like to give you a moment here and invite you to take a moment here with me to take a deep breath and really connect with your intuition, connect with the cards, and see what's really calling out to you. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together here now. And as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles here. You can choose from all 3 of the piles if you want to. You can mix and match your messages as you go. There really is no rule book to this, but all the timestamps will be down below in the description alongside the chapter marks of this video. And you're also welcome to check out my Instagram, check out the other ways in which you can support this space down below for snail mail readings and for those magical extras. And you can also check out the more educational videos that I've been putting out on charm casting. So with that all said, let's go ahead and get started here with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this piece of blue tiger's eye, then this is the pile for you. I'll set it here so you can see it during your reading today as we explore your next 2 weeks. We're going to be doing this heavily with the charms, the letter tiles, numbers, and all of those sorts of casting styles here on the mat. But we're also going to be playing around with one of the decks here, which is the Seed and Sickle Oracle, which I'll have all of this listed down below in the description if you're curious to see what we get up to today. But let's go ahead and just get right into it. I always feel really raring to go when we start these 2 week ahead readings, so let's just get you zoomed in and get you some answers. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to start out as always with some letter tiles. So these are going to be some numbers, oracle messages, or letters rather for initials, and it could spell out names and all sorts of things. So go ahead and get yourself settled, get your intuition cap on, and we're going to pull you some of these letters. All right, so feel free to send your energy in through time and space here, and let's pull you some letters. Okay. So the first thing that I saw is like Riz. So there could be some sort of element of that going on for your next 2 weeks. But we also have, like I said, just different initials that might spark for you. So we have R, Z, and S. We also have D, M, and K. So these definitely feel more initial based today, or they even are making me think of like brands and things like that. So maybe some of you are shopping or looking for something like that. Maybe this could give you a little bit of a sign or signal for you when it comes to that. But immediately what I notice as well is that there are no vowels, at least for the English language. There's no vowels going on here. We only have consonants. And whenever I find that we only have consonants or only have vowels and there's a heavy load on one side, it can showcase that your communication might feel a little bit clunky. If you imagine trying to say a sentence without the vowels, you can probably get your words across, but they're going to feel a little bit disjointed, a little bit clunky. So you might find that there might be some misunderstandings over the next 2 weeks. You might need to have a little bit more grace with someone, try to understand, give yourself a little bit of grace too if you're having a hard time, talking or bringing up a certain subject or topic with someone. So we definitely are seeing that within the letters, but like I said, feel free to see how these scrambled up feel like for you. But we're also going to pull you some letters to supplement those. I'm tripping over my words today too, so I feel you guys, but regardless, let's go ahead and pull you some numbers. So these are going to be more so specific dates over the next 2 weeks, or you could see them as angel numbers or repeating numbers, signs and signals from spirit, however you wish. But let's go ahead and pull you some. Okay, so we immediately are getting 313, or 33 as well. So this is making me think that either the 31st, I don't even know, I don't think this month there are 31 days, but something towards the end of the month might be important or a significant date. But we are getting all in the same number, or the same color of red, 313. So that might be an angel number to look into. We also have 8 and 6. 6 also showing up in that red, so 8 being the only kind of outlier color here. You also might find that the 13th, the 16th, or the 18th might be important dates as well for you over the next 2 weeks. Another thing that I noticed as well is that you have 2 repeating numbers of 3 as well, and 3 is a number of collaboration. It represents a lot to do with collaboration, our relationships, our community, bigger relationships too, right? Like not necessarily like one-on-one relationships, but like I said, a whole community, a whole family. So how those ripple out. So that might have to do with the communication, the questions or topics that you might have to bring up with someone over the next 2 weeks, but it does seem that it might be related to that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these here, and we're going to pull you your main energy over the next 2 weeks. So this card is supposed to represent the main themes, the main energies on their way in for you, and we're going to put it all into one single card. So definitely be sure to send your own energy, kind of bring it in through the screen, and we're going to see what comes in while we shuffle here. So here we are immediately. You have Clover. Clover is one of the best cards to get in this specific oracle deck. It is the number 19. So we had the 13th, 16th, 18th, 19th. So a lot happening in the teens of the month. But we also have Clover, like I said, and this is in the summer suit. So this is also showcasing that this energy is happening around the summer, which it is if you're watching this as of when I'm posting it, at least in the northern hemisphere. So other things that I think is really interesting about Clover is Clover represents kind of like synchronistic moments or noticing like luck, right? The 4-leaf clover, or the idea of the lucky dew on like a foggy morning. So you might find that you're quite lucky this week, that there could be certain situations that happen where things have to perfectly align for the events to have happened, right? You just feel really lucky that day, or you just feel like you are on some sort of high as the days go on. So you might just find that you have quite a few lucky moments over the next 2 weeks as well, and that luck is really on your side over these next 2 weeks. So definitely utilize the luck that you come across, and it can be very simple things, right? Just finding a lucky penny. It could be that your appointment gets canceled, or maybe it comes in, or like something just sort of aligns that makes that lucky moment happen. But definitely keep your eye out for the luck around you, because I really think it's starting to turn the tide. So that's really what I'm seeing here. I'm not seeing too much more, but I'm curious with the synchronicities if anything else comes in on that point. But we're going to go ahead and move on to your charms here. So let me go ahead and zoom you out so you can see the whole casting cloth. So we're going to be using charms. We're going to be doing what I normally do, where we kind of split up the mat here. So anything that falls here in the center is more on that main energy with the clover. As for these two little noodle shapes here, anything that falls on this side of the mat represents the first week, and this represents the second week. So we're going to go ahead and pull first off some casting tiles here. These are the Charm Cast Tarot in here, so do feel free to send your energy in to the dark abyss and we'll see what comes back. So group 1 here. Okay, so we have a few different ones. We only have 2 that haven't fully revealed themselves, which we will keep hidden until we get to the rest of the charms. But first off, we have nothing falling in the center. In your second week, we have the Moon card. We have the reversed card of Temperance in the first week alongside the 6 of Wands. So that's a very interesting combination to be having. So we're going to see how that manifests further or shows itself further with the charms. So do feel free to send your energy in, and let's cast these. Okay, so this one does not want to be there, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it out, which was the root chakra, by the way, in case that represents anything for anyone. But let me go ahead and zoom you in. So like I said, we don't really have a lot happening in the central area here for you all. All we really have are 2 sort of things. So we have the little wiener dog here, and then we have the senior charm of 2013. With both red and black showing up here, so more of that red energy that we were feeling show up here earlier. And to be honest, you didn't get a lot of charms in general, so we're really going to be focusing fully on the tiles, the tarot tiles that you got here. But when it comes to this first one, what I find is really interesting is I actually have a charm called Top Dog. It's like a little dog bowl that says Top Dog on it. So I find it interesting that you got the dog here, and then you got the senior charm, which is making me think that you might have something showing up around a boss over the next 2 weeks. Maybe you're feeling kind of like especially because it showed up above the boss, is making me think that you're like wanting up something, or you're maybe gaining a raise, or something is happening where you are kind of taking control there, whether that's because you're moving up in your job, moving up in a position, or being able to get more power in some way for yourself, or empower yourself through your work. Or the opposite, where you're maybe noticing the dynamic that's happening, at least with a senior member of your community, because we did have so many 3s showing up here. It represents things like coworkers, community members, family members. So there could be something of a swap in power dynamics happening over the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, you can take these quite literally, and maybe your dog is just very important to you. Maybe they're a senior dog, something like that too. You can take this very literally. But here in the second week, we have, like I said, Temperance reversed. So here with Temperance, usually when it is upright, it showcases this angel-like figure or winged-like spirit, kind of mixing these 2 different cups together. It represents a mixing and mingling, a divine alchemy of sorts. And when it comes reversed, is telling me that there's something out of balance, out of whack. It's like if you're taking like test tubes in chemistry and all of a sudden you get the explosion. It's like there could be, like I said, with communication over these next 2 weeks, that something isn't mixing, something isn't mingling, something is getting a little bit, the numbers aren't completely perfectly crunched or perfectly aligned, and thus you get sort of an explosion result. But it seems like because you have luck on your side over the next 2 weeks, it's making me think that even though you might get an explosion, it's one of those things where it sucks in the moment, but like down the line, it's actually something that you're probably going to benefit from. So sometimes we go through like some like crappy situations that actually end up, you know, giving us opportunities or showcasing something that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So I'm getting that kind of feeling with your first week that something might kind of suck at first, but it's going to come around, it's going to fizzle down, and actually benefit you. Other things that we have showing up here, we have more of that kind of boss energy. Whenever I see this, it's like the queen bee, right? So we have something having to do with a boss, whether it's in a job or if it's just like someone that you feel has more power than you, or is, you know, higher up than you, or someone you look up to even, right? Like a parent or a guardian, or even like just like your older sibling or something like that. There is some sort of like power dynamic at play here, and it seems to be that you are going to be quite successful over the next 2 weeks, because right next to it, not only was this upside down, and then you got the charm showcasing like relaxation and calmness. So it really feels like you're definitely empowering yourself against a person who seems to think they have more power than you, but you're kind of showcasing them, or showcasing to them that you, you know, you're not like putting up with that, or you wish to kind of empower yourself or find some sort of success over them over these next 2 weeks, but specifically in the first week. As for your second week, we have a few other things. I'll go ahead and zoom you out so you can see everything here where it fell. So we have a couple of different things. First off, we have the moon charm. That's the one thing that came up where it was actually fully up right here. And this one, the moon represents dreams, it represents illusions. So I'm curious to see, since we didn't have anything else come near it, it's making me think that there could be something in the second week that maybe you just don't have entirely planned out. Maybe you haven't entirely got your, you know, like you haven't talked to someone about, like, say you have plans that you're trying to make with someone. Maybe you need to like really make sure you have those, you know, conversations about who's bringing the dip, who's bringing the chips sort of situation, if it's some sort of social thing. Otherwise, there just could be something that just still feels quite cloudy in the second week. You might feel like you just don't have all of the answers, or you can't find all of the answers. There's a bit of a cloud over your second week here. And then we also have the Two of Cups falling next to sort of the more femme charm. So this doesn't necessarily mean a woman, but it just can represent someone with more femme energy. And we have that showing up here next to the Two of Cups. So you might also be getting together with someone or reconnecting with some sort of feminine energy in your life, someone who may or may not actually be, like, it doesn't have to be a friend. It could be any kind of relationship, right? So you might be reconnecting with some sort of goddess. You could be reconnecting with your own feminine energy. You could be reconnecting with a feminine person. It could go many different ways. So it kind of just depends on your particular circumstance. But what I find is interesting is on this card, you kind of have more of that winged creature, winged spirit showing up here. So it might be that these two cards are connected, in that this one is showcasing to you, right, like this is like an explosion of feelings, or an explosion that like you didn't think was going to go well, but like in the end, maybe it actually helps you strengthen a relationship with someone in the second week. So that might be something to keep in mind. And then lastly here, which just still feels connected to the 2 weeks, but it does fall here more on the moon cycles, which can showcase to us some timing. And the timing of this specific card, which is the Devil card, is happening between the new moon and the first quarter moon. So depending on when you're watching this, whether it's when it comes out or not, you can check out a moon app and see maybe when this energy is coming in specifically for you. Otherwise, you can also see it as kind of falling between these two moons. The energy of the first quarter moon is all about action. And what we have here is the Devil card, which represents kind of the opposite of action. It kind of represents holding back or feeling chained back by something, chained back by an addiction, chained back by a connection, chained back by a habit or something like that that's kind of holding you back. And the fact that you got the Devil card next to something all about taking action is making me think that you might be trying to work on yourself a little bit when it comes to those certain parts of your life, right? So things that are kind of just no longer serving you or aren't currently really helping you anymore. So I think you're going to be kind of working on some self-development around that time or around the second week. So overall, those are all of the charms and cards that I have for you today. I'll go ahead and move this over here so you can see as well in case you want a reminder of what we have here. But yeah, like I said, these are all of your charms and cards. I know you didn't have a ton of charms, but they really were focusing on that boss energy, power dynamics, mixing and mingling, luck and alignment, habits, and we were also seeing a bit of illusion and some interesting results happening over here with that Two of Cups. So we're going to see how this all plays out. If you did enjoy this reading though, do be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below. Always curious to see your guys' feedback and how it went for you. I always want to continue making these more and more useful to you. And if you haven't already, do consider subscribing, as I put out new videos every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, art, magic, creativity, and I even have an entire master guide video on charm casting if that's something you're interested in. So all of that will be either down below, or you can check it out on the channel by subscribing. And you can also support the channel by checking out the Kindred tip jar down below. Everything that goes in that jar goes right back into the channel. It's actually how I got some of these different little bits and bobs, and how I also got the Charm Cast Tarot. So everything that goes in there goes right back in, so thank you. And you're also welcome to check out the snail mail readings that I offer and the spell and ritual papers that I hand make for your own spells and rituals. So again, thank you so much for joining me here today, and I'm wishing you the best for your next 2 weeks. Bye! Hello Group 2, if you've decided to choose this piece of Amethyst, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to set it here so you can see it during your reading today, as we are going to be exploring your next 2 weeks using the charms. We're also going to be using the Charm Cast Tarot, letter tiles, number tiles, and the Seed and Sickle Oracle. But if you're curious for everything that I've just mentioned here or anything else that comes up, do be sure to check that all out down below in the description, so you can see all the decks and supplies that I use for you all today. So I am feeling raring to go, so let's just go ahead and get right into it, but do feel free to get yourself settled as well. We are going to begin looking at your letters and numbers. So we're going to start first with your letters, as always. So these are going to be any initials. You can also see them to spell out different oracle messages. You could spell out an entire name if you wish, road signs and other sorts of signs and signals that are important to you. And I also use them to look into the communication that you have going on for the next 2 weeks. So do feel free to send your energy in, and let's pull you some charms, Group 2. Alright, so first we have G-E-E and U, which is making me think of like glee, or like a giddy feeling, right, that you get with ghee. But we're also gonna see what else you have. So we have I, H, and W. Immediately I was thinking like hi, so there could be the opportunity for someone to, or multiple people possibly, to say hello to over the next 2 weeks. Maybe it's going to be a quite social next 2 weeks, you might find, or you might be getting together with a lot of different people, or connecting with a lot of different people, a bigger community, co-workers, or a bigger group of people. This kind of came up with group 1 as well. Other things that I see here, let's look. We have he showing up here, so that could help you in case of gender. We also have the start of when, so this could also be or even why. So if you might be questioning a lot of things over the next 2 weeks, but maybe you're not necessarily finding all the answers to them, but there could be like a lot of questions on your mind, or things that you're maybe researching, learning, or growing on. But to be honest, you have a lot of letters here, but not a lot of words to spell. So we're going to go ahead and see what else you have going on with the numbers, and see how they go. So let's go ahead and pull you some numbers. So similar to the letters, this time we're going to be looking for significant dates over the next 2 weeks, as well as looking into any angel numbers, significant signs and signals from spirit, and such things as that when it comes to repeating numbers. So let's go ahead and pull these for you. Okay. So first off, you have the number 2 in orange. We also have another 2 in blue, an 8, a 1, and a 4. We have 1, 2, and 4 all happening in the same number. The same, oh my gosh, my words today, the same color of blue. And this might mean that you might have a lot happening either at the early days of a month, depending on when you're watching this, or on the 12th or 14th, there might be significant things happening, also possibly the 28th. These ones are feeling more positive, where this one feels like it might be a more significant day in terms of like something big happening, or either something really big and exciting and just like a lot of emotions happening. And I feel like it could be any kind of emotion. It just really feels quite emotion heavy, whether positive or negative. But yeah, we have the 28th and then the 12th and the 14th being significant dates. But we also have only the repeating number of 2 here, 2 representing a partnership, or a relationship of some sort, like a one-on-one relationship that might be highlighted over these next 2 weeks. So do see and interpret that in your own life and how that might be influencing over your next 2 weeks or impacting them. And we're going to go ahead and pull you your main energy card. So for this one, we are going to be looking into the main energy for you over the next 2 weeks. So we are going to be pulling a lot of tarot tiles, but this is going to be the only oracle card that we're specifically going to pull. So do feel free to send your energy in, especially for this one as I shuffle, because it's going to be the most impactful overarching message over your next 2 weeks. So let's see what that is for you, group 2. There we are. So we have Lily of the Valley happening over here for you. Lily of the Valley has a lot to do with ripples. The ripples and effects to our actions, the ripple effects, right? The butterfly effects of the Lily of the Valley here. This is in the spring suit. We have another 2 here. So we have 2, 2, 2. So that could be another angel number showing up for you. And a repeating number just showcasing more of that partnership or relationship energy. There's going to possibly be something that impactfully happens there. That definitely is one of those sorts of things that once the water has fallen into the cup, you really can't put it back, right? You can't really give it back, not that specific drop. So it's also like being very careful and aware of the things that you say, the actions that you take over the next 2 weeks, because they're going to create ripple effects, whether they're positive or negative. So it might be less of a spontaneous next 2 weeks. It might be one that you tread a little bit more lightly or think through your plans, double check your measurements kind of feeling that I'm getting here from your Lily of the Valley here. But more historically, when it comes to Lily of the Valley, this is one of those instances where it's a quite poisonous plant, but is one that historically people used to put in water and create like some sort of like tea or something that I think they ended up drinking. I could be wrong on that, but the point is it was poisonous, but the only reason they wanted to drink it to heal themselves was because of the appearance of these heart-shaped leaves and seeds, right? So it seemed really like lovely and wonderful, and why wouldn't it be helpful? And then it turns out that it's actually could be poisoning you. So this is also making sure that there aren't people in your life or situations, habits, rituals that you find yourself kind of falling into that are actually ending up being more toxic for you than beneficial. And even though it looks good on the outside, might be, maybe just not the right fit for you. So that's something else to keep in mind when it comes to Lily of the Valley here. But we are going to go ahead and zoom you out here, and I'm going to pull you some tiles and some charms here. I feel like I'm tripping on my words today, so we're going to keep going though. But For today, we are going to be using the charms on this mat, and what I like to do is here in the center is everything having to do more on that Lily of the Valley main energy, so overarching themes, right? Then here on this little noodle shape is anything that falls here is on your first week, and anything that falls on the second one over here is on your second week, and we'll talk about the moons if anything falls there. But to start us off, we are going to pull you the tarot tiles, which are all in here in the dark abyss, so do feel free to send your energy in and let's see what comes back. Okay, so we have a lot happening over here in the first week. I'm going to reveal these two as we pull the charms, but we do have a reversed version of the World card, and don't worry, we'll zoom in here soon as well, with the Four of Swords and the Sun card showing up here in the first week, and then like I said, we'll reveal the others, but it doesn't seem like you have anything really falling into the center here, so we'll see if we get any charms. So do feel free to send your energy in there, and we'll pull these as well. Okay, so we are gonna see what we got going on here. So let me go ahead and zoom you in. So nothing showing up here with more of that Lily of the Valley energy. That is definitely just highlighting this card. Remember, appearances don't always showcase the heart of someone or their true actions, and then also just being very aware of your actions and your voice and how much it can have an impact over the next 2 weeks. So that's really all we have going on in the center here, but let's take a little focus more on the other charms we have showing up here. So what do we got? So in this top little section, towards the beginning of your coming week, we have the letter B. So if you were looking for a letter and you felt like you needed the letter B earlier, it has shown up. Otherwise, we also have that near the flexibility charm of this little elastic. And then, and it's also about elasticity. But then we also have the, this one is reminding me of Lily of the Valley, because usually this would be like a little plus, but it broke. And so now it doesn't have like this one little side, it's missing it. So it's making me think too that you don't have all of the information about someone or something to make a full decision about it, because the World card represents tying up ends, finishing something off, completion, success. It represents, like having the whole complete world in your hand, right? So it seems like you have some missing pieces going on in the first week, either missing pieces about someone's intentions, or just, keeping your mind open to someone or something related to this letter B, or whatever your gut is really feeling here. As for the other parts that might be happening in your first week, we have the Sun card and then the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords, you can see someone is sort of laying down, putting all of their armor down, putting all of their weapons down, and getting some well-needed rest. So you also might find yourself getting a little bit of rest over these next 2 weeks. It doesn't have to necessarily mean sleeping, especially because we have the Sun card next to it, so it doesn't have to necessarily mean getting sleep. It can mean literally getting rest by having a spa day, or by just watching your favorite TV show, doing something that just really you enjoy, or just really vegging out, whatever it might be for you. But it's just putting everything down and giving yourself a little bit of breathing room is really what I'm getting here, and just allowing yourself to also celebrate your wins too is kind of coming up as well in the first week. And then we also have the overwhelmed charm, or stretched too thin, right? Because this is a bobby pin, but as you can see, it's been stretched. So this is just reminding you too that you might be a little too stretched too thin in the first week to make any good judgments about something, like full final judgments about something. And also that's maybe why you need this rest. Before we move over to week 2, though, we do have a little mysterious charm happening down here. So let's have a little look-see. It fell on just after the full moon. So if you want to look for timing of this card, it's going to happen just after the full moon, the next full moon, whenever that is for you when you're watching this. But it can also represent, again, more of that like full moon, and the idea that the full moon shows the full picture. And as we move and descend back to the new moon, you lose parts of that picture. So it can also represent more to do with this energy that we talked about of not having that full picture. So this is represented with the energy of the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is someone who definitely can get swept away in a person, in a hobby, it's like hyper fixating on that thing that they love, right? This is the dopamine rush. This is the honeymoon phase that kind of just puts kind of a, glaze over everything. It's like putting a person in front of, they're looking at this cup, and imagine this cup is actually a cake, and they're looking at this cake and they're like, that cake looks good. And then when you actually cut into the cake, you realize that half of it's fake and most of it is too dry, but they tried to put frosting on it to make it look good. And so again, appearances might not actually represent the heart of something, and that's showing up here in several different ways for you over the next 2 weeks. As for here in the second week, we have a few other things happening over by the moons. So again, if you look at a moon app, you can see when this might be coming in just after the new moon. We have the mask charms. This represents someone or something feeling like they're putting on a mask or putting on some sort of front, right? And then we also have the communication charm. So someone might be not being fully truthful with you or not saying the full truth. Then again, this might be around timing. So that's something to maybe pay attention to when it comes to those you're communicating with and interacting with. As for here, though, we have a few different charms. We have the insecurity charm. We have a little bundle here. The insecurity charm. We have the little courageous cub, and then we have the Claudia charm and the femme charm. So this is giving me this feeling when we put these all together that there might be someone who is making you feel like you taking a courageous jump or taking away your confidence or something like that is what I'm really getting here. We have someone who's maybe was a close friend or close family member in the past, or they still are now, but they're kind of making you feel a little bit insecure about your confidence or kind of putting you down in some way, possibly a more feminine energy, but it doesn't have to be. So I have that kind of feeling happening here, but I feel like this isn't exactly what everyone is meant to be getting from these, especially with the way it's presenting itself very specifically. So you might also just be feeling what we get here. So let's go ahead and have a little look here. So what do we have? Okay, so not only do we have the Knight of Cups, but we also have the Page of Cups. And where the Page of Cups is different is the fact that they are curious about the cake, right? Or they are curious about whatever the cake represents. But they're also more aware. They're less like, there's less of those rose-colored glasses to it. So there's something happening in the second week as well that you might be very passionate, excited about, or something that is presenting itself, maybe even a new opportunity, a new relationship or friend that you might be diverging from or heading towards. It kind of depends for each of you how you see this, whether you feel like you're following, because this represents the paths, right? I should probably explain that, but this represents the path charm. So this is the path less traveled by, where this is the path most likely traveled by. And I feel like you're taking a path less traveled in the second week. So something that's just like a less likely path for you to take in comparison to your peers. And it also seems that you also have the spirited path here. So this represents a spirit guide, a deity, a god, a goddess, a loved one beyond the veil who is working in your favor behind the scenes. They're helping to make things align for you for a common goal. So we have that showing up here also in the second week. So the second week is a little bit more mysterious. It's not giving us a ton to work off of when it comes to like practical things. But I would just be aware that there might be an opportunity happening in the second week that might diverge your path or make you go in a different direction that Spirit is really kind of leading you towards. So really listen out to the signs and signals from Spirit, and maybe listen a little bit less to this pessimistic person who might be trying to put down what you've got going on here. Again, though, if I didn't mention this, but because they are a loved one, if you do feel like they are truly someone you can they have your best interests at heart, they might also be speaking about this in a way that you're kind of clouded with. So again, this is one of those ones that can go either way. So I don't really want you to feel like you have to go and think that this person is horrible now, or that, you can't trust their advice just because of these charms. Trust your gut for sure when it comes to this situation. So overall, those are all of the charms and cards that we have here for you today. I'm going to go ahead and put this up here so you can see them again if you'd like to. But if you did enjoy this reading, do be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below. Always curious to hear your guys' thoughts and your feedback. It really does help inform how these readings go, and I'm always curious. So thank you. Also, do be sure to subscribe as I put out new videos on charm casting for these 2-week readings, as well as other Monday readings that I put out as well. And I even have a master guide video on charm casting if that's something you want to start picking up and build your own set with. And if you'd like to support this space to continue having this community running and to this channel running, do be sure to check out the Kindred tip jar down below. Everything that goes in there goes right back into the channel for different deck supplies and other little bits and bobs that keep this place going, which I really do appreciate. And you can also check out the ways to support yourself through the snail mail readings that I send to you in the mail. And you can also check out the spell and ritual papers that I hand make. I currently have some out for Mabon and the autumn equinox. So keep your eyes peeled for those down below. And I am wishing you the best for your next 2 weeks, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 3, if you've decided to choose this piece of rough emerald, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it here so you can see it during your reading today, as we are going to be exploring your next 2 weeks through different letter tiles, number tiles, charms, and one tarot, or oracle deck rather, of the Seed and Sickle Oracle. But you can see all of this down below in my description if you want to see what we get up to here with the different supplies. But let's go ahead and just start diving in. I'm feeling so ready to go for each of the readings today. It's just like flowing. So I definitely want to see what you guys got going on already. And let's begin first by getting you your letter tiles. And you're welcome to get settled and cozy as well. Do feel free to pause if you want to get yourself cozy or in a good space. But let's go ahead and pull these tiles as well. So here we are. Here are all the letter tiles. So these are going to represent any names or initials or any specific oracle messages or communication-based messages coming forward for your next 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and pull these first. So we don't have a ton of them showing up today. We have, first off, the letter E, and then the letter E. Oh my gosh, I would have laughed if it kept going. Then we have the letter U, R, and C. Immediately the word that came up to me, and don't see this as a medical diagnosis and more as an oracle word, but ulcer came up. So again, not a medical diagnosis, just an oracle message. But it's making me think of like, you might just feel very busy, or there's a lot of chaotic things that are possibly giving you kind of that stress feeling, where you just might be feeling like very go, 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 go over the next 2 weeks. So we have that showing up here. But like I said, I want to see what else there is. Could be like maybe uncle is kind of coming through slightly. There's not a ton to work off here. We have Renee pops in my head for some reason. Maybe decree or even, you know what? We even can write cure here. So there could also be that, yes, you could have a lot of stress going on, but it does seem that there is a cure going on for you over the next 2 weeks as well. So you might just be feeling like more physically exhausted over the next 2 weeks, mentally exhausted, but there could be something that comes in to give you just a little bit of breathing room, and we'll definitely see that as we go further into the reading. But that's everything that I'm really getting here, because we only had the 4 to kind of work with. But let's go ahead and pull you your number tiles as well. So these ones are less so based on the oracles and more to look into if there's any significant dates over the next 2 weeks that we should be looking at. Angel numbers, repeating numbers, signs and signals from spirit, that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and pull those. Okay, so immediately we are getting the numbers in blue, 12 and 13. So the 12th, the 13th, the early teens that are happening here are quite significant and quite important. And because they're blue, it also is making me think that they're quite positive days, but we also have, or productive even, and then we have the number 12 showing up again, as well as the number 8. So these again could be significant dates, but because we have 12 repeating itself, it's making me think that that's either the most significant, or it can also be flipped and be the 21st, but the actual number 12 represents, like a dozen. So it's making me think again, like you've got a dozen things to do, a dozen stuff on your mind. Like it just feels like everything is doubled. So I don't want to make it a harder week for you if you have a lot going on. But I just want you to be kind of validated in that I see that it's going to be kind of more difficult. So let's go ahead and pull you a little bit more to see maybe what that cure could be. So we're going to see the main themes and the main energy that are coming in with the oracle card, but we'll look into the specific details when we move into your 2-week forecast. So let's pull this one. Okay, that one popped out so fast. I don't even think it had time to think. So let's get a little look-see here at what flipped. So you got here the Crocus card with the fall suit, and this also is represented by the number 38. So when I look at this one, I'm immediately kind of drawn to this little eye here, and the fact that swords can really represent a lot of the time like action, and the fact that it's pointing down and you have this like wide eye, it's making me think that over the next 2 weeks, like again, you're not getting a lot of sleep, you're constantly, even when you are trying to sleep, you still have these actions, you still have these things on your mind that kind of keep you up or aren't giving you enough time to kind of settle. And so one thing that I would say that has helped me in the past, it doesn't mean it will help, but something that I would recommend maybe trying out, and I've mentioned these on the channel in readings before, but a brain dump. It's super valuable, super useful. You basically just get a piece of paper, or you can type it out if you want to, but I think paper works the best, is just write down every thought, every action, every task, every goal that you have going on, and it's been swimming in your mind endlessly. So you can just empty it all out of your mind so you can go to sleep, right? So you can just get it off your mind, because a lot of the time it just runs and repeat in the background of our minds, because we're either worried we're going to forget it, we're worried that, what if we forget that we need to do that on Monday and there's going to be a meeting, and then we've got to go over here, and then we've got to pick up the kids, and then we've got, and so you kind of got to like stop that cycle somehow. And I think that by putting it all down on paper, you're not worried that you're going to forget it now, and you don't have to worry about organizing it either right away. You can just dump it right out of your brain. But outside of the actual object here, we're just focusing on the flower of crocus. Crocus is I'm pretty sure actually a spring flower, or it reminds me a lot of like the resilience that comes through with the spring, and the idea that like a lot of the things that grow and have to be the first things that sprout, even sometimes still through the frosts of winter that are kind of still piling itself into the beginning of spring, they're very resilient, they're very flexible, and they're very open to change, and also quite hardy plants. So it's just a reminder too that you're quite hardy, you're more capable than you think, and just a reminder of those sorts of things. So I'm going to go ahead and pull you your charms now. So for this, I'll go ahead and zoom you out so you can see here. But for this, if you aren't familiar, we're going to be pulling and casting charms on top of here. So charms over here and the charm tiles of the tarot tiles. But right here in the center is going to represent more on that crocus energy and anything else that's that main theme. Then we are going to look into this little noodle shape here for the week, for week 1's forecast, and then here for week number 2, and anything that falls on the moons or outside of that we'll talk about individually. But let's get settled into the tarot tiles. So these are the Charmcast Tarot, in case you're curious. Go ahead and send your energy in there, and let's see what looks back for you. Okay, so we don't have a lot really going on when it comes to the center, which has been a running theme for the last 2 piles, so not too surprised there. We'll see if the charms fall in them though, but we're going to go ahead and reveal these as we go. But you do have the Strength charm showing up here, or Strength card, as well as the 4 of Cups in the second week. So let's see what else we've got going on first. So feel free to send your energy in, and let's see group 3. Okay, so we didn't have a ton of charms showing up, but that's okay. Like I said, there were or maybe you watched, but there were lots of little individual ones that kept kind of sparking out to me. But let's start here in the center. So the things that we have showing up here, we have 3 different charms. I don't know if you can see this bottom one, but we have 3 different charms showcasing a specific astrological either phenomena or astrological event possibly. So that's something you could look into as well. I'm less versed in those. That could be something you could look into. But also it represents that there's a lot of people or a lot of those energies coming in. So first off, we have the Taurus energy, or a person who is a Taurus in their sun, moon, or rising, being very important and impactful when it comes to your next 2 weeks, especially when it comes to maybe encouraging you to get back on the saddle about something, since we have the saddle charm here, getting back on the saddle, or getting your momentum and getting your feet going on something that maybe you've put aside, or something that maybe, like I said, is going to get you quite busy over the next 2 weeks. Taurus has a lot. As a Taurus myself, I know I can be quite stubborn and those sorts of things, but when it comes to encouragement, a Taurus on your side is great, because they are going to make sure you stick it through and can be very encouraging. So I think that's really wonderful to have, a powerful ally to have on your side, whether it's actually a Taurus in your life, or if it's just the Taurus energy, the idea of that momentum and getting yourself back up on something that's coming in. We also have this little swallow, or this little bird showing up here, which represents for me a bit of I'm getting this feeling of peace, gliding by. So I feel like there's also a bit of peace that will be showing up in your next 2 weeks. As for when, we will see. But like I said, when it comes to your other cards and charms here, we have Scorpio showing up here, just kind of by itself, chilling, which is the opposite energy to Taurus. So where Taurus is happening in April and May, on the opposite side of the year, you have Scorpio, which is a great energy, but it is less of an energy about sticking things through and that spring new energy that we got with that crocus feeling. And this is more about hesitation. It's feeling like maybe you could be hesitating on something, kind of slowing momentum in the first week. Definitely feels like something being at odds within the intentions that you have for the week and how the week is actually going. That being said, we do have another one here of Pisces. So we have the Pisces energy happening here. Lots of water signs. lots of intuition happening in the first week, since this says intuitive. But we also have the Eight of Swords, which represents hesitation. It represents kind of binding yourself back or holding yourself back in some way, by whether that's because of something someone has said, whether that's because you're worried to how something will go, lots of what ifs in your mind. But you do seem to have the Strength card just below it and intuition on your side. So whether or not you're going to have all of these swords in your path and this feeling of, right, like, I can't get all of those things done, or a feeling like maybe I shouldn't get back on the saddle about that thing, right? All those what ifs swirling in your mind, like I talked about earlier. Right behind it, you've got the crocus showcasing your capability, your resilience, and that you got this. And the same thing is happening here, where we showcase that same feeling with even a bunch of swords kind of in your path, and right below it, right underneath it, is your strength and willpower. So I love that that's showing up here again, to just remind you that you're more capable, you've got this. Even if it's going to be a bit more difficult, just know that you have so much more momentum, more potential, more capability than you think, and personal willpower and strength. So you're going to need a lot of that when it comes to the first week, especially when it might be pushing through some sort of hesitation or mental block. But when we get to the second week, we have a couple of other things going on. So let's go ahead and reveal them. So we have this one, I feel like is more so on a moon, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But we have the World card showing up here, and both of them upright, and the Four of Cups alongside the paw print charm. So when I see the paw print, it can represent that, like, a significant things happening for you when it comes to pets in the second week. But it can also represent, like, the pressure of following someone's footsteps, or following in someone's shadow, following in someone's sort of expectations on you. And that's relating to possibly finishing a project that you put down, because we do have the Four of Cups, and as you can see, someone is offering them a cup. Could be that Taurus that we talked about earlier, could be a Scorpio, could be a Pisces, but regardless, someone is giving you an opportunity to get back on that saddle. They're giving you the opportunity, and it's only something that you can take, right? It's not something they can force on you. It's not something that you can be forced into. It has to be something you willingly want to put your effort and mind towards. And based on these cards and the fact that you got the World card represents wanting to finish something. It represents tying up loose ends. It represents success at the end of the road, right? So it seems that you're still kind of considering whether it's worth your time to continue following your own footsteps or following in someone else's footsteps to finish something, or if it's time to just finish it off and move on to something else. So you're going to have a lot of bigger decisions happening in the second week, but like I said, I don't think it's something that I can tell you which way you're going to go, but I do think that it is going to be quite a empowering decision for you to make. And then lastly here, we have that one charm showing up here at the top, which I will zoom out for you here. Over here on the new moon. So as you can see, we have the moon cycles here. So you can get out a moon app, or you can look online to see when the new moon is for you for timing, if that's something that interests you, to see when this comes in. But otherwise, the new moon also can just represent new, fresh starts. And what you have showing up here is the reversed version and I'll go ahead and turn it around for you though, but it's the reversed version of the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is someone who is a go-getter. They are going to push and push and push and push against all of the wind that is pouring and pouring and pouring into this person, right? So this is about going against the grain, going against the wind, doing what you need to do. So that might be happening. You might be feeling you're getting a sort of refresh on that kind of energy that's felt stagnant for a while, for you to make your own decisions, to go your own way, to maybe even go against what has been set forth for you, and that's happening around the new moon, or just in general is giving you a fresh new start. So those are all of the charms and the cards that I have for you here, group 3. If you did enjoy this, do be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below. I always am curious to see your thoughts on the different charms and cards and how they maybe went a different way, or your intuition went a different way. I'm always curious. Also, if you haven't already, do be sure and consider subscribing, as I put out new videos every single Monday for love, career, spirituality. I just did an art magic video, which was a lot of fun. Been showing off my more magic magical side with my grimoire, and I've even showed off my charms as well as done a master charm video guide for you to check out if you're interested in charm casting as well. That can be an amazing resource to you if you want to build your own set. So do be sure to subscribe. And if you haven't already, you can check out the Kindred tip jar, as everything that goes in there is an amazing way to support this channel and support yourself through these readings, as everything that goes in there goes right back into the different decks and supplies that I get for the channel. And you're also welcome to check out the snail mail readings that I do down below, where I send a letter to you in the mail for you to treasure and enjoy, to see what you have going on in a specific situation. And you can also check out the spell and ritual papers that I hand make and create for you all around different Sabbats. So all of that will be down below in the description. It's a great way to support this space and support yourself. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wish you the best for the next 2 weeks, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!